Tu stai cercando di venirne a capo, vero?
Questo che cosa vuole dire?
Che queste prove sono ideate per valutarvi. Nel modo più brutale, sono quasi crudeli.
Benvenuti alla seconda prova.
I'd say the biggest challenge in terms of filmmaking was the underwater task. We had to somehow create the illusion that this was real.
Harry Potter worlds always have full CG environments, but this one is just extensive because the underwater's new. You've never seen it before.
And it's not a natural environment that we're creating. It's obviously it's our own version of what one would expect to find at the bottom of a Scottish loch.
It was felt that the look of somebody underwater in the close-ups couldn't really be recreated as well as it looks if you do it for real.
So it then became clear to us that we were going to have to shoot this underwater in some form or other. So Dan had to learn how to dive, and we had to build a tank. And that, of course, was hugely challenging.
When you leave pool, swim, do a back somersault, and then back to your kit, yeah? Okay.
Dan rose to the challenge and undertook something that I think many adults would have been fearful of. He was brilliant.
We obviously wanted to get as much practice in as possible for the underwater stuff, so we trained for about 6 months before. We started off not very deep at all, just in a normal, quite shallow swimming pool. It was great because I just could go down there and be confident. We all wanted it to look as natural as possible, and so that's why we trained for so long. And then I was ready for the 20-foot tank.
How's that, Dan?
Yeah, it's great.
Very good.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Being youngsters, we needed to be able to create the underwater environment, so we designed and built this tank. It's a very complex piece of equipment. The tank itself holds about 500,000 gallons of water, which is 2.5 million litres. It's probably the best tank in the world for filming.
When Dan's in, go straight over to the rostrum with Dan.
That's Dan descending down the stairs to you.
When I actually went in, it was so vast, so much more so than I had actually imagined.
Dan, so nice and slow on the way in.
Dan also has to worry about one other thing, which is performance. It's all right swimming around like a fish, but Dan eventually has to give you the Harry Potter performance.
Stand by. 3, 2, 1. Breather out. Action, swimming.
Probably the most difficult sequence will be when Dan has to rescue the two characters and to swim with them to the surface.
Grab! Throw your head back when you grab!
Lovely.
Perfect, Dan.
Really nice.
The second unit people planned so that no shot would last longer than between 9 and 11 seconds, because that's as long as you can do without air and keeping your eyes open.
Dan, split your look between the green lights and the knot. Yeah.
The main thing that really sort of was a bit frustrating was the fact that communication is obviously quite difficult.
Dan, on action, you turn to camera, quizzical look, and go.
There are certain signals like this. This confused me, because this means, quick, I'm drowning, get me up to the surface. Whereas to me, that means, hey, I'm fine.
Dan, that was really good. Do exactly the same as that last one. Thank you.
I just have my AD's voice. I tell him, he tells him, so they hear one voice.
Look to his right now. Look to your right again.
Okay, and go for it.
Air in, air in, air in.
On dry land, here's your mark, and underwater, it's not as easy as that, So you add all that into the mix, and you realize what an effort it was for him to do that.
Hit! Look it up.
Close to the camera.
Close camera, air in.
Very nice.
Do you want to go to the habitat for a minute?
This shoot is quite unusual because of the duration whilst we're in water. So we've designed an underwater habitat, and the artists can go inside. They have communications to us. They have a playback monitor so that they're completely up to speed on what the director or the first assistant would like them to do for the next shot.
Each shot was sort of quite seriously structured in terms of pre-visualization and storyboards. So we had a sense of what we needed, and gradually we pieced the whole together in a sequence that was essentially Dan against a blue screen.
We wanted this lake to be miles long like they are up in Scotland, and that was all going to be done in the computer, so we had to figure out how to do blue screen underwater.
Cut there. Very nice, Ben.
That was very, very groundbreaking, shooting plates against an underwater blue screen. A lot of research went into that, and they finally came up with an underwater blue screen lit from behind.
The blue screen setup for shooting was quite an enormous challenge for the electrical guys. There's a tremendous amount of cable, there's a tremendous number of fluorescent tubes. It achieved another goal as we move forward.
Swim higher, Robert. Swim up to Bruce.
You have no idea what the scene is going to look like. There was nothing in the water at all. There's just just massive amounts of blue screen.
I really enjoyed diving, and it was hard work, and it was very physical, but it was really rewarding. I got given by the stunt department, this was my Christmas present for them, which was the Professional Diver's Daily Record, and it has in it every dive that I ever did while filming, and the total time that I spent underwater was 41 hours and 38 minutes over about 3 weeks, which again, I'm very proud of.
And then, with the aid of digital effects, we had to create the environment and
a green underwater look rather than the more tropical blue, because it's supposed to be a deep, dark, dank lake. We ended up creating countless different varieties of plants, so that there was always movement.
The most important thing for the challenges was to get across to the audience that Harry was in danger.
Each creature is designed because virtually nothing is from the real world. We don't want to compromise, we want them to feel real and unique and authentic. That's what we've been aiming to achieve. Our mermaid is very much a creature of the deep. We did have discussions about the mermaid designs. When the audience sees it, it has to feel and seem 100% real.
It's great that the mermaid's faces are like a fish. You know that it's a female creature, but it doesn't have very female features. It has a fish face.
They were quite hard to get this balance between gracefulness and elegance and beauty, and at the same time still be scary. One of the things we all felt was key was to make them not look as though they could possibly be a person in a mermaid suit.
We went to the route of the tails moving like this, which was just an impossibility for a human to sort of even mimic.
Stuart Craig in production design department designed Crumb. It's quite a bizarre concept, having half human, half shark. It's great in the sequence. He starts off coming towards you and all you see is the shark's teeth, and it's quite scary. And then as he comes past, you see these little human legs kicking him along behind, wearing swimming trunks, which it was quite entertaining and quite fun trying to make that. Things we always have to do is try and find creatures that are as similar as possible, or at least different aspects of them are similar. Like we looked at squid and octopus to try to get some of the skin texture from them. And it's a process of iterations of creating something and discussing it and changing it until you eventually come up with a creature that everyone's happy with.
There's a lot of fabrication, a lot of imagination while shooting it, and a real challenge, but an awful lot of fun.
Very good, Dan.